don't know what's going on with Iran and Palestine. I have no idea.
So Iran and Palestine. You're missing a third country.
I don't. Is there? Is there a third?
Bro, we laugh, but like there are a lot of people like this. Straight up. I don't even think Sodapoppin is like faking it. Like I think he just straight up does not know anything.
Do you think that they're fighting?
Are they not? Dude. This is actually turning into How Dumb Is Chance podcast.
Is there just do you think that there's a third party involved, not including the United States?
United States? Oh, so I don't. Ukraine? I don't know.
What do you think Ukraine's doing?
He said Ukraine is involved as a third party.
Ukraine's got shit going on with Russia. But I understand that's going on there. I thought maybe they were somehow connected. I don't know. And you want to?
We need them to come teach us.
It's crazy because like this dude has a college degree, a college education. Like think about that. The reason why it's good to see these kinds of conversations is because this is basically not that different from like briefly tuning in and watching the Taylor Swift interaction that was taking place yesterday. Like sometimes you got to go and see what like the other side lives like. Okay. And when I say the other side, I don't mean like Republicans or whatever. I'm talking just general, normal civilians in society. Because a lot of us are laser focused on every single thing that is going on in the world. And I think especially in the feedback loop that we create in a community like this one, we end up assuming that the average person is maybe just as locked in and has either the opposing ideology or the opposing opinions, and they're bad and evil and wrong. We just rarely factor in complete ignorance into the equation, okay? Complete lack of interest. Now, if you want to have a conversation about like how someone is not even remotely invested, how can someone be so utterly checked out of this process when it's like their tax dollars that's going to contribute to everything that's going on in the world? Like that's one conversation. But just understand that like there is a layer beyond just like the normie that watches Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn, or guy who watches Asmongold to get his like political knowledge. Sounds kind of stupid to say, but there are people like that. There is a level beyond that. And that level is guy who doesn't know anything. Guy who's like, is Iran fighting Pakistan? I don't know. Is that a country? Like that. That's the real silent majority.
Do we?
We need who to come?
Last I talked
anybody. E-Rob would educate a little better than this.
We
call Russell.
Last I talked with Hassan and I asked him about politics, whatever, and he's like, I've thought about learning. He's like, no, don't. Ignorance is bliss. And he's not wrong. There's a lot of things where like I wish I was ignorant. It's much easier to live life that way. That being said,
do you know anything about like
getting older? I should know things.
Like the Epstein.
I gave up. That's true. I did. It's your fault, brother. Let me explain something to you. What do I always tell you? You can't save everybody. Okay? Which is ironic because like I did do this with Nick. I sat Nick down and I had a long conversation with him. There are so many different layers to this, right? And I think Nick is, as a consequence of that, definitely a lot more knowledgeable than the average person. But then like someone just said, Doug is a well-read guy, but he said China is a profoundly fascist nation. Doug seems somewhat knowledgeable. He is. Doug is brilliant, okay? He is a brilliant content creator. And I think like the what is it, like the Lemonade Boys or whatever, like their podcast is great. I love Doug. I think Doug is great. Doug is well-read. But of course, you can be well-read and still have, maybe different opinions. Doug seems knowledgeable, but he called China a profoundly fascist country and defended pharmaceutical companies needing to turn a profit. So I just kind of assumed the worst until proven otherwise. Like you forget that there's the other side of this equation where you have like very well-read people who then will just genuinely disagree with you because maybe of the things that they read or the limitations of their imagination. There are so many different limitations, so many different blind spots that exist in this process. You just got to take a breather and remember that like you have to be charitable to people and it's okay to disagree with people on shit. Cause China being fascist is not simply a difference in opinion. Yeah, it's just wrong. But again, it is a simple difference in opinion. From the perspective of the average American, you have to play within the bounds of like what normal people think. It's objectively untrue, but it doesn't matter, right? Like you have to work within the environment that has normalized certain aspects, certain kinds of sentiment, because you're not just working against a person. This person is taking for granted a tremendous amount of social conditioning, a tremendous, like a insane faucet of oftentimes like xenophobic propaganda coming from a country that also has a chip on his shoulder because they're worried that like China is going to be the next hegemonic superpower, right? Like that plays a massive role. Doug is well read on many things, but his politics stuff is still developing. He talks about it because his exploring politics stuff is new to him. He's learning as he goes, and he's gotten more progressive over time. Tech guy learns about politics will take some time. Yeah, I haven't seen like what their journey looks like, so I don't know personally. But like again, you just have to be charitable. And if you're like, think about it this way. Many of you, once again, this goes back to what we were talking about. Like you're in this community, so you forget that like out there in the internet world, there are so many different variants, so many different pipelines that you can find yourself on. And a big chunk of them are going to be anti-China, for example. So if someone is like, oh, I want to learn more about politics, let me like Google, Chinese economy. The first 50 videos that's going to come up is like, China is on the verge of imminent collapse. China is doing unimaginable fascism. So then like, of course, they're going to be like, okay. Or if they read news articles on China, let's say they want to be even more informed, they're going to go to Foreign Policy Mag. Foreign Policy Mag that is filled to the brim with writers that work at right-wing pro-war think tanks that are China hawks. They're going to listen to people in positions of power from not only just the Republican administration that is anti-China, but also from the Democratic administration that are also anti-China. Because there's a uniparty attitude here that a lot of people basically take for granted and think, oh, well, there's a normalizing effect when you have certain things that both Democrats and Republicans believe. Right? Politicians, I mean. That's just what it is. Most people are incredibly susceptible to that faucet of not just like propaganda, but propaganda that masquerades as like objective analysis. I know this from my own personal experience because like I have to deal with a lot of people and their own personal opinions every single day, their own opinions that they've, even well-read people who will just like vehemently disagree with me, even if they're like objectively wrong. Would you ever consider going on Lemonade Stand? I enjoy their stuff sometimes, but it's definitely liberal. It'd be good to hear from a socialist perspective and exposed to the audience. Oh, for sure. Why does China come up in Western politics so much? Well, it's like asking, why does America come up in Chinese politics? It's just like one of the planks, one of the poles that the world is inevitably gearing itself towards. It's the manufacturing hub of the planet. It's a country that has grown and has developed tremendously over the course of the past couple of decades. Do most people think China is fascist then? I wouldn't say people think China, I mean, they just don't have positive opinions on it at all. But yeah, if you're immediately thinking China is fascist, it's not just like a simple disagreement, you're going to miss the forest for the trees. You're going to have a very hard time explaining to people certain concepts. It's just going to be very difficult. Also, a lot of people just think like authoritarianism is fascism. And China does have, just like every other country, has authoritarian elements. All governance is inherently authoritarian. That is literally what a government is. Every law is designed to stop people from doing something that they may want to do. Now, of course, most laws that are reasonable, we have all decided is collectively, we have all decided is reasonable to operate in society in a civilized manner. So you don't even think about it like that.
Files, anything like that?
Yeah, it's like the fucking island or something. And Epstein killed himself. Some minutes got removed from a video. I don't know.
Okay.
He said China was uneducated. He's low-key racist towards them. Yeah. Again, this is a product of what you see. Okay, this is simply a direct consequence of what you see, even when you are trying to learn.